So again, let's create a class of type person, and let's say this person can, for example, greet, and if a person is going to greet, we are going to console.log greeting in a console. So now let's create two persons, for example, person1 by using new person to create the person, and let person2 be equal new person as well. So obviously we now have two persons, but those persons are literally completely pretty much the same. So what is the purpose of doing this? Obviously this doesn't make too much sense, but you can use a constructor within a class to create different types of persons if you want to say so. So let me show you. You can create a constructor inside of a class by using the constructor keyword, and inside of this constructor you can now define several properties that a person should basically have. So we could, for example, say he should have a first name, a last name, an age, maybe muscle mass, and some speed. And now we are going to use opening and closing brackets once again. And when using a constructor, you basically use this syntax. You use this, so this keyword, then the name of the property, first name is equal to first name. Now we are using this dot last name is equal to last name. And I'm going to explain what this means in a second. And this dot age is equal to obviously age. This dot muscle mass is equal to muscle mass, and this dot speed is equal to speed. So what does this mean now exactly? This always refers to the created object. So let me show you, or let me draw it for you. So let's imagine you create a person 1 and you create a person 2. So now you have this, it's the first person, maybe she's happy, and here you have the second person and maybe he is not that happy. So now you create one person by using the new person constructor syntax basically, and you create this person. Let's say you create the happy person. So now this refers to this object. So basically refers to the object that you just created. Now you use this line, for example, and create a second person by using new person once again. And now for this object, this refers to this object. So basically to this object. So to the second person. So it's actually really simple. This always refers to this object that you just created. So now we can use those properties. Those constructor properties are basically properties that we can use right here, that we can fill in here. So let's say we have a first name of Jonas, second name of hey or bro. Now we have an age 24, muscle mass 0, and speed 0, for example. So now we have this first person, and now let's create a second person. Here's maybe the same last name and has, maybe he's 100 years old, has a muscle mass of 200 kg and a speed of 400 kilometers per hour. Like legit person, but yeah, okay, so whatever. When you define basically your parameters inside of this constructor, those are the parameters that you define or that you use right here. So those are the arguments that you're basically feeding to those parameters. And now those parameters are basically what you have right here at the right. So by using a parameter, you say whatever this dot first name is going to be equal to the parameter that we just used right here. So basically this is the parameter that is here, and you could also have another name. You could, for example, also say this dot name is equal to first name, but by convention you just use the same names. And now if you would create this dot name right here, which is equal to first name, you could also say console.log person1 dot name, for example, and now you can log it in a console and you would have Jonas. So basically those are the properties that you assign to the object, and usually you just use these parameters to give a value to these properties. So I hope this makes sense. Every object has a property and you can use parameters to define specific values for those properties. And now this dot first name basically refers, once you create this first person, this refers to this person. And once you create the second person, there exists basically one this for person 1 and one this for person 2. And this always refers to the object that just has been created using the constructor. So what is the purpose of this? Now you can basically use this inside of the function, for example. So now you could, for example, say console.log this dot first name. And now this for the first person refers to the person 1. So basically to this person, and this for the second person refers obviously to person 2. So now when we go and we are going to use person1 dot greet, for example, we are using the greet function for person 1. This refers to the object that has been created for person 1. So this refers to this object. This object has a name of Jonas, or first name of Jonas, last name of bro, age 24, muscle mass 0, speed 0. So this refers to this object. And now we're going to call for this object, the greet function. And once we go run code, I'm going to save the object, I'm going to run the code, and as you can see, we get Jonas inside of the console. Now obviously we can do person2.greet as well. And now for person2, this obviously refers to the object that has been created by using the new person constructor basically for person2 with the values of Pascal, bro, and so on. So we're going to run the code, and now we get Jonas for person1 and Pascal for person2. So as you can see, by using this, you can really do a lot of stuff, and it is pretty nice that this always references the object that has just been created using the constructor for exactly this object basically. And I know it might be a little bit confusing for a lot of you, that's why I really tried to explain it as detailed as possible, but just try it out a little bit and you definitely get an idea what this basically makes.